Testing, testing, testing. Be safe. Those were the two words that I heard from my mom every single time that we left our house. And with my brother and I, my brother Rob, when we were in high school, leaving our house was a little bit different than leaving most homes because we were driving 40 miles each way. And when I tell my kids this story, it was actually uphill both ways. And when you look at it, when we lived in Gaviota, there was a hill right in the middle of Gaviota and Lompoc, that it actually was uphill on the way there and uphill on the way back. But my mom would always say that, like she would say, I love you guys, be safe. And we would kind of shun it, whatever it was. And we would just think like, okay, she's just saying this. It's lip service. It's what she, needs to say. Because in our heads, we had a few other things that were kind of on our mind. Number one, we had to drive 40 miles each way to school. But number two, we had a 71 Corolla station wagon. It was a two-door coupe. And I still to this day don't know why Toyota would make a station wagon that's a compact station wagon that has only two doors. It didn't make any sense to us at all, but we were happy because we had a car. And the other thing is the transmission would slip. So when you would push on the gas, if you pushed on it too hard, it would slide into neutral and the car wouldn't move. So because we lived on the side of the freeway on the 101, which was absolutely beautiful when we go back now, we didn't really appreciate it at the time, but we would get on the freeway and there was no real entry lane. So we would have to drive on the shoulder for 3/4 to a mile to a mile to get up to 50 miles an hour so we could merge into traffic. And then when we get to that hill that I told you about, our transmission would slip and you couldn't push the gas too hard to be able to get the power to go up it. So you just have to kind of ease it in. And there was times where we were going, 15 miles an hour, 17 miles an hour. And we would joke that, hey, I'd say to my brother, hey, Rob, why don't I just jump out of the car and run next to it? That would be so funny. But we had these kind of thoughts in our head. We didn't have a boohoo story. But when my mom said, be safe, it kind of went in one ear and out the other because we had all these other things that we were dealing with. And it was amazing because in Proverbs 6, it went through and it talked about, and it, a lot of the lessons that I learned from my mom and my pops, I didn't actually realize the meaning of what they were saying until they were actually at home with Jesus. And now I understand. And in Proverbs 6, it kind of takes us through as if God was speaking to us and saying, I'm going to tell you to be safe, but I'm also going to give you the blueprint or the formula on how to be safe in your life. And that was incredible for me to be able to sit down and not only reminisce about my mom and about the things that, we went through as kids that forged us, but also as I was looking through this proverb, the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day, I was realizing that God gave us a formula on how to actually be safe, not just to hear the words. So why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
Be safe, be safe, be safe, and be safe. My mom would always say this to us. Well, a couple station identification things. We've got a great announcement for you today. November 9th is the Vibe Room. It is coming to Salt Lake City at the Edison House. It's going to be incredible. We got Janae Thompson, Keith Hale, and Mr. Baron Baptiste. Janae Thompson has over 12 million subscribers on YouTube. This woman is an absolute incredible human and has a story that is not only going to bring you to tears, but is going to make you laugh the whole entire time. Phenomenal entrepreneur and just a real person. We've also got Baron Baptiste, and Baron Baptiste is the man behind bringing yoga into the forefront in this country. And honestly, like when you hear his story, it's unreal what he's been able to do. Not only that, but had a couple things that he competed with Michael Jordan. I'll tell you about that at the Vibe Room. You get to meet him. And then Coach Keith Hale, a great buddy of mine and incredible mentor, working with a lot of different organizations out there. Just spoke with the Raiders recently. Hopefully the Raiders will actually listen so they can win a game this year. I don't know that that'll happen, but it's coming November 9th. We're releasing tickets today to the Vibe Room, and literally they'll probably be gone by the end of today. So I wanted to tell you that. And so let's hop right into Inchstones, which is the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. If it's the first time that you're tuning into the podcast, I want to thank you so much. We have 3 different shows. One is a corresponding proverb, corresponding day. I go through 3,000-year-old wisdom and how it can apply to today. But I want to make it relatable because it's been a study that I've been doing, the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. I've been doing this for about 30 years. And, I wanted to make sure that my kids didn't think of, reading the word or reading, wisdom as something that was kind of taboo or that you didn't talk about. Let's just talk about it. It can apply in so many different areas. So we have that show. We also have a show where I interview some of the most iconic people in the world, and they give advice to my kids by name because I wanted my kids not to worship idols, but to just be inspired by icons. And finally, we have another show that's called You Have to Meet My Friends, where I go live and I call my friends randomly, and they don't know they're on the podcast till they're actually on the podcast. So I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a comment. It means the world to us. We're listener supported, and we just want to say thank you. If you haven't got the book, jump on Amazon, The Vibe. It's about 117 pages, but this doesn't come from theory. It's what I wrote based off of the multi-million-dollar business that we created throughout the country, and we did it by building people and then allowing the people to build the business. It's called The Vibe. It's on Amazon. You'll check the link. And then lastly, this was probably the greatest mistake that we ever made. I partnered up with Vanderlei Silva, one of the greatest UFC fighters in the world, and we made a body wash. Well, when we made the body wash, they sent us the first shipment. In the shipment, they said, "Hey, why don't you try out this product?" And the Vanderlei body wash that I thought was going to be amazing didn't sell at all. But this Bling Shine Serum became the #1 seller in our whole entire company, in the history of our company. And it adds moisture, strength, and shine. It has no weight, has no color, but it smells like vacation. And every woman needs a little bit of bling in your life. There's a link in the comments there too. So now, I already said let's hop into Inchstones, but I didn't hop right into it. So in verse 1 through 5 in Proverbs 6, we're talking about being safe. And I had heard these words all the time from my mom, be safe, but then I didn't really know how to actually apply it. My friend Sean Finnegan has said it over and over again to me. It's generally the start that stops us. We don't know where to start. If we start as an entrepreneur, we don't know where to start. So we kind of think about it too much and then we don't start. Well, when my mom would say, be safe, I didn't know where to start. I mean, yeah, okay, Mom, that's what you're supposed to say. But in Proverbs 6, it broke it down. And I believe that this is what my mom was telling us. But she was not only telling us, but she showed us throughout her entire life. And so in verse 1 through 5, it talks about staying out of debt personally, professionally, spiritually, and financially. The reason why this is so important that you stay out of debt is because what I found, and if you've ever been in debt before, we all have, or maybe you're a perfect person and I'm not, but anytime that I'm in debt, I feel stress. I feel a weight on top of me. I feel like my pops used to call it a monkey on my back. And if you have debt in your personal, your professional, your spiritual, or your financial life, in those areas, you'll start to act out of character. And once you start to act out of character, you have the tendency to get results that are out of character of what it is that you desire to do or be, or, what you want to accomplish. And it's not just about the accomplishments itself, but it's the pressure. And I tell you, there is nothing so freeing as being debt-free. And when you are debt-free in those areas, personally, professionally, spiritually, and financially, how can we do that? We can deposit more than we withdraw. And in verse 6 through 8, it talks about focused, consistent work will bring sustainable profit. Let me say it again. Focused, consistent work will bring sustainable profit. Now, I see this all the time. I just saw it the other day, and I think maybe it's because I talk about these things. But on my feed, on my social, was like, hey, if you want, just to blow up your business, you want to scale, you want to do this, then just call me and I'll book a call with me. And I tell you, every time that I look at those things, initially it's like, oh, wow, it sounds really good. But every single time that I've had anything that's sustainable, it just comes from focused, consistent work. Focused, consistent work. And focused, consistent work is just diligence. It's doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons, and the right things turn out. And diligence is just about doing right work. How can we know what right is at the times? By staying in contact with the Lord and allowing him to guide us, as opposed to going out and doing it and then asking him to bless it. And it goes right into verse 9 through 11, be diligent and not lazy. Be diligent and not lazy. Do right work. My buddy Ben Glass, one of the top personal injury attorneys in the country, this guy is unreal. And he talked about it the other day. He said, I have not taken one call that wasn't on my schedule or on my calendar. And he said it was in 15 or 20 years. And it's amazing because what he did is he said, I want to do right work. What is right work, right? It is what I need to be doing as opposed to all the things that I get distracted by. And how amazing is that? I was talking with my friend Tim Semmelroth, who's the only board-certified truck attorney in the state of Iowa. If you have anything in Iowa, you got a guy now, Tim Semmelroth. And when I talked to him, he said that he listened to Ben Glass. He listened to that counsel, and he started to say, if it can be on my to-do list, this is what Ben Glass said to him, if it can be on my to-do list, it should be on my calendar. And so imagine that, be diligent and do right work and don't be lazy. Now, laziness is not taking a break because you need time with your family, things like that. It's just do the right work when you need to do it and then focus on other things when you need to do that. And so it talks about that and how can we be safe? Well, number one, we stay out of debt. Number two, we stay focused, consistent work will bring a sustainable profit, and that'll keep us safe. Be diligent, not lazy. That'll keep us safe. In verse 12 through 15, stay away from troublemakers and don't be one yourself. And then it just said, stay away from troublemakers and don't be one yourself. You know when you're causing trouble. You know when you're speaking about somebody and it's not in the most positive light. You know when you're doing work that isn't right work. And if you take time to pause, be silent a little bit and allow God to work, it's amazing what can happen. In verse 17 through 19, eyes, tongue, hands, heart, feet, stories, your contribution. Check all of these and ask if they're in line with your character. Are your eyes in line with your character? Is your tongue in line with your character? Are your hands, the actions that you're doing, in line with your character? Is your heart? Is your feet, your steps every single day? Are your stories that you tell? And are your contributions in line with your character? In verse 17 through 19, it hits this really, really hard. And if we want to stay safe, our eyes, our tongue, our hands, our heart, our feet, our stories, and our contribution will be in line with the character that God gave us and designed us to be, and that will keep us safe. In verse 20 through 23 it just asks the question, are you honoring those who have come before you? Do you seek, listen, and apply wise counsel? Let me ask it again. Are you honoring those who came before you? This is a quick one. Is what I learned is if you want any mentor in the entire world, I got a chance to speak to Nick Horgan the other day. He's an incredible human. He has amazing insights and doing some great things in the hospitality industry. Now, he happens to be partners with two very influential people that I won't mention, but I mean, very, very influential, like sports teams owner influential. Now, for me to have contact or communication with Nick, this is the way that I did it the other day. Now, he's a very busy man, but what I did is I put an unrealistic time frame on it, meaning that in a random one. So I said, do you have 2 minutes and 38 seconds for one question? Now, it was very specific. It had a time frame on it, and he messaged back and he said, I would actually give you 12 minutes and 58 seconds. So I called him. We laughed about it a little bit. I asked him the question. He answered. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring him back his results. Because if you want a mentor in your life, where you want to continue to have wise counsel in your life and for them to pour into you, ask very, very specific questions, put a time frame on it, listen to it, then apply it and bring them back results. And that's what I'm going to do with Nick. And so when I bring him back results, then he'll see that, oh, wow, he valued my time. He valued my my answers, and he applied them. And wow, he gave me results. So let me try another one. And so that's what God is asking in verse 20 through 23 is are you honoring those who came before you? And do you seek, listen, and apply wise counsel? See, wise counsel, if in your heart, will guide you when you walk, watch over you when you sleep, and speak to you when you're awake. Let me say it again. Wise counsel, if in your heart, will guide you when you walk, watch over you when you sleep, and speak to you while you're awake. It makes it pretty simple that way. In verse 24 through 26, when you know the truth and store it up in your heart, you can spot a lie from a mile away. I learned this. I'm a big fan of Catch Me If You Can. And when I studied in there and, studied as far as within the FBI and counterfeit and things like that, the counterfeit people in the FBI and different organizations, they do not ever study the fakes. They just study the real one. Because if you study the real one and know the intricacies of the real ones, you could spot a fake from a mile away. And so when we study truth, we study wisdom, we'll be able to spot a fake or a lie from a mile away. And sometimes we're living in our lives and people have told us things that we believe that, maybe our parents told us something, our uncle told us something, our aunt told us something, or life told us something that is absolutely not truth, but we believe it and then we live it out. And what God is saying is, study my word, understand the truth, store it up, and you'll be able to spot a lie a mile away. And here's the truth. You're perfectly, wonderfully made in the image of God. Anything contrary to that's a lie. From this point forward, only accept truth in your life. And imagine what can happen. My dad summed it up like this: you're the greatest, boy, so act accordingly. And imagine if you acted according to that greatness that you are. In verse 27 through 28, playing with fire never ends well. Self-explanatory. In verse 29 and through 35, as we wrap up, it says, work your land. If you want to be safe, work your land. God has a purpose specifically for you, and he simply wants you to focus on that, and he will bring the increase and the blessing, but he'll bring it from his purpose, his plan, and his timing. And so if we want to be safe, look at this part. Like when my mom would say this, when we would leave the house in Gaviota and we'd drive in that 71 Corolla station wagon with the spray tint that my dad sprayed on the windows, thinking he was going to tint the windows. It just looked like honey because it had dripped down and it cracked. What she was saying is stay out of debt personally, professionally, spiritually, financially. Stay focused on consistent work, and that'll bring you sustainable profit. Be diligent, son. Don't be lazy. Stay away from troublemakers and don't be one. Your eyes, tongue, hands, heart, feet, stories, and contribution should all be in line with the character that God has designed you to be. Are you honoring those who came before you? Do you listen? Do you seek? Do you listen? Do you apply wise counsel? And when she was saying, like, if you want to be safe, you'll store up truth and you'll be able to spot a lie from a mile away. And she was saying, be safe, son. Don't play with fire. It won't end well. And finally, if you want to be safe, just work your land. Work the things that God has given to you. Don't chase fantasies. God has a purpose specifically designed for you. You are perfectly, wonderfully made in his image, and he loves you at the highest level. And when you focus on him, he'll bring the blessing. He'll bring the increase, but he'll bring it in his time. The challenge for me is I learned those lessons and I understood them a little bit. When I say too late, it wasn't too late. It was perfect. But I wish I could have sat with my mom and just told her, thank you so much. Because just as my mama could see it, God could see the things that are coming ahead. And what he's saying is just be safe. You don't have to have a boring life. You don't have to do things that are not great. But he's saying, be safe. And this is how you can be safe. So I want to tell you, Mama, I know you can hear me. I miss you every day. I hear your voice as clear as day all the time. And I thank you so much for all the things that you imparted in me and Rob and Guy and every single person around you. Proverbs 6 really gave us that formula. But Mama, you gave me the formula, and it was just in 2 words: be safe. This is another episode of Inchstones. I appreciate you. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, do all the stuff. We're listener supported, and I want to tell you how much I appreciate you. Ashley, you know who you are, and I appreciate you at the highest level. You're incredible. I appreciate you. The Vibe Room is coming November 9th. Buy the book, buy bling, do the things that you know you need to do. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over.